All right, class, here we go. So we just read the bad seed. And now we're going to read the good seed. Do you notice something about those titles? Good and bad? What is it about those words? Well, they're antonyms. They're opposites of each other. So before we read the good egg, see if you can kind of make some, now that you've seen his style and his purpose in writing, see if you can predict or think about some things what you think his story, The Good Egg, might be about. Maybe even a message or a difference between the two. The Good Egg by Jory John. And I apologize if my cat continues to meow through this. She's kind of trying to get in the way of our reading. Oh, hello. I was just rescuing this cat. Know why? Because I'm a good egg. A very good egg. What's that mean? I'm a very good egg. It's true. I do all kinds of good things. Like, I'll carry your groceries. I'll water your plants. I'll change your tires. I'll paint your house. If you need any help whatsoever, I'm your egg. I've always been a good egg. It's been this way from the start, even in my earliest days, back at the store. So what I notice about each book is Jory shows us where they first start, so the seed starts in the sunflower and the eggs coming from the store, and we know there's a place they come from before then too, right? There were a dozen of us living together under one recycled roof. There was Meg and Peg and Greg and Clegg and Shell and Shelley and Sheldon and Shelby and Egbert and Frank and other Frank. The other 11 eggs weren't on their best behavior. They weren't exactly good. They ignored their bedtime. They only ate sugary cereal. They threw tantrums. They cried for no reason. They broke their stuff on purpose. Yikes, that kind of makes me say yikes. Meanwhile, I tried to take charge. I tried to fix their bad behavior. I tried to keep the peace because I was a good egg. A very good egg. Oops. Wow. Nobody seemed to care, though. Every night I was exhausted. My head felt scrambled. Then, one fateful morning, I noticed some cracks in my shell. They were everywhere. Oh. So, man, I think of these other eggs and I don't just see them as bad, but almost as bullies or picking on the good egg. I don't like that. I don't like how that would feel. And I definitely don't like that they think it's funny. And I really don't like that kick me sign on the back. Those are all signs of just mean behavior. My doctor said it was from all the pressure I was putting on myself. Oh. So as a reader, we might back here think that it was the other egg's fault for his cracking because of the kick me, and they have something on his head like that. But the doctor said he's causing this to himself. He's causing his own shell crack, and he said it was due to pressure. Where do we hold pressure? Where do we hold stress? When I'm stressed out, when you're stressed out, where do we hold that? We hold it on the inside, and our body builds up pressure. So sometimes when I'm really stressed, my jaw can get really sore because I'll hold it really tightly and I don't even know that I am. Sometimes people get stomach aches or headaches, or they get really tired or cranky when we hold in that pressure and we hold in that stress. That's what the good egg's doing right now. And so now it's not looking so good because he's keeping all that pressure on the inside. He's putting it on there himself. It's causing his egg to crack. And the pressure of, he kept that pressure of making sure everybody was as good as him. So this is an inferring moment. When the doctor's talking to him, it kind of reminds us of that circle of control in life. Like right now we're in a situation at home that we can't control, right? We can't control that the COVID virus is there, but we could control how we put this pressure on the inside of us and how we handle that, how we cope with that. So right now I'm noticing that the good egg is not sure how to cope with all that pressure she's putting on herself, but also is very worried about what all those other eggs were doing. Have you ever been there? You're worried about someone else's choice. I've had y'all in the classroom, and I even know my niece and nephew are listening to this, and I know you guys worry about each other's behavior sometimes too. And sometimes that's okay because we're looking out for each other because we don't want somebody to get in trouble. We don't want someone to get hurt. But we can't carry that around on the inside because we can't control their behavior and their choices. So as I continue reading, let's see, does the good egg find a way to cope with? Because we started talking about that word this year. How do we cope with that sadness or cope with that pressure we put on ourselves to be good all the time? Or sometimes people say, I like to be perfect. I don't like to be wrong. I don't like to make mistakes, or it's hard to admit that. Let's see how the good egg copes with that self-pressure. I was cracking up, literally, not cracking up, cracking apart, literally. Something had to change. I'd had enough. Do you remember at which point in the bad seed where he'd had enough? And he said, I've had enough and I'm going to make a change here. I'm going to do something. So we see those common patterns and choices with our characters across book to book. So the good egg is deciding enough is enough of that pressure. I told Meg and Peg and Greg and Clegg and Shell and Shelley, Sheldon, Shelby, Egbert, Frank, and other Frank that I was leaving. I can't be the only good egg in the bad carton, I said. Blah, 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 they replied. I left that night. So what's his choice? What's he doing? He's walking away. I wandered from town to town. The hours became days. The days became weeks. I lost track of time. Yeah, he sure did. Look at him. Got beer going on. I was alone. Out there on the road, under the stars, I really tried to focus on myself and what I needed. And some people call that self-care. So it's definitely important to take time for yourself. As he shaved, got that taken care of. I took walks. I read books. I floated in the river. I wrote in my journal. I found simple moments to be quiet. I breathed in. I breathed out. I even started painting. So I hear a continued couple pages of him helping himself, some self-help things he can do to cope with that pressure. For once, I found time for me. And guess what? Little by little, the cracks in my shell started to heal. My head no longer felt scrambled. And why? So all the way through the beginning, the behavior of the other eggs and the way they acted and choices they made and even treated him, think about what he did to cope with that. And then it started to have a negative effect on him and his health and his body. And he said, I'm going to do something different about this. And he did. He started to find some more helpful, meaningful, peaceful things to do to take time for him. And look what happened. He began to get healthy again. I started to feel like myself again. And isn't that our goal? We all want to feel and be ourselves and feel like ourselves and act like ourselves. So I've made a big decision. I'm returning to my old carton and my friends. Besides, I'm kind of lonely out here. This time, I know what I need to do. I'll try not to worry so much. I'll be good to my fellow eggs while also being good to myself. Here we go. Everybody missed me. I miss them too. Welcome home. Hello, Meg. Howdy, Peg. Hey, Greg. Greetings, Clegg. What's up, Shell? Aloha, Shelly. Hey, yo, Sheldon. Hi, Shelby. Goodbye, Egbert. What's happening, Frank? Or not goodbye, good day. I was going to say goodbye, didn't make sense. Good day, Egbert. What's happening, Frank? Howdy do, other Frank. Sure, every once in a while, somebody's still a little bit bad. But it's not like before. Here's what I realized. The other eggs aren't perfect, and I don't have to be either. I'm okay with that. Yep, the old carton is back together again. We're a solid dozen again. It's good to be home. So we have the good egg and the bad egg. So what are the messages? What are we supposed to take away into our life and to remember from the characters, from the seeds and the egg? Well, the bad egg, we talked about that message, right? But doesn't it sound very similar? Even though it's the opposite. There aren't any bad eggs, and we are going to make decisions that aren't great, or we're going to work hard to be responsible and make good choices, and people around us are not always going to make good choices. So what do? Well, we cope with it. We tolerate it. We handle it by taking care of ourselves. At the beginning, his egg was cracking because he was carrying so much pressure because of how the other eggs were acting and behaving. And sometimes with our siblings or our friends at school or family, people aren't always making the decisions we want them to make or we think they should be making. And then sometimes we get mad at them or we get frustrated. We don't know what to do. And that pressure is building up on the inside just like it did for Egg. But at the very end, Egg told you he realized the other eggs aren't perfect. And I don't have to be either. So there's two lessons in here. One, the egg was putting so much pressure on himself to be perfect. And he realized he doesn't have to be. But neither are the other eggs. It's okay to have some choices that are good and some choices that are bad, but it's how we handle it. How do we handle our own choices, but how do we handle the choices of others? And he gave us some ways to cope and how to help ourselves, how to help ourselves so we're not carrying all that pressure all the time. We saw that he was reading. He found some quiet spot. He got outdoors, or he exercised. So continue to do those things that some of you have written to me that you are doing to cope with the COVID of having to be at home. What you're doing to cope with all that pressure. And be sure that you take time for you. Even though you're a kid, it's okay to take some quiet time for yourself. In the next one, we'll continue to see these patterns and these lessons. Is what I love about these authors. All authors that create these series for us. The next one is the cool bean. Any predictions? Any thoughts? The bad seed. The good egg. And now, the cool bean. And we kind of notice that each character teaches us something about choices and behavior. Any guesses? We'll have to see. Till then.